Good afternoon, Virgo. Uh, Something genuinely wonderful is about to break through the heaviness you've been carrying, isn't it? Not small consolation prize or minor improvement, but actual joy inducing news that's going to make you feel something you haven't felt in too long. That expansive lightness in your chest, that involuntary smile that takes over your whole face, that giddy energy that makes you want to tell everyone, or alternatively, keep it close like precious secret. And the best part is you're not expecting this particular flavor of happiness because you've been so focused on managing challenges that you forgot what it feels like to receive uncomplicated good news. Let me share what's crystallizing in the joy delivery system surrounding your existence right now. The first beautiful thing breaking through is news that resolves worry you've been quietly managing. You're probably going to receive information that specific thing you've been anxious about, whether consciously or as low grade background stress, is actually fine, better than fine, working out in ways that exceed what you were hoping for. You might be getting test results that are clear, financial situation that stabilizes unexpectedly, relationship dynamic that shifts toward what you wanted, professional development that confirms you're valued. And the relief of not having to carry that particular concern anymore is going to feel like physical weight lifting off your shoulders, like you can finally breathe fully for first time in weeks or months. Here's the extraordinary truth about what you're experiencing. The good news is personal and specific to you. You're probably not receiving generic positive development. You're getting something that addresses your exact situation, your particular needs, your specific desires. And that customization is part of what makes it so satisfying because it proves that universe or fate or whatever you believe in is actually paying attention to your individual circumstances. You might be experiencing that profound sense of being seen and cared for. Where the good news arrives in form that demonstrates someone or something understands what would actually make you happy, what you've been needing, what would feel like answer to prayers you may not have even articulated out loud. What's lighting up in the happiness activation zones is good news about someone you care about choosing you clearly. You're probably going to experience a person you've been uncertain about, demonstrating unambiguous interest, commitment, or priority. Finally saying what you've been wanting to hear. Finally taking action that proves their words aren't just empty promises. You might be receiving text or call or conversation that removes all ambiguity about where you stand with them. And that clarity, that direct communication of yes, I want you. Yes, this is real. Yes, you matter to me is going to create happiness that's less about the relationship itself and more about finally being chosen intentionally by someone whose choice you actually wanted. This reflection invites you to consider is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than how much of your current unhappiness comes from uncertainty rather than actual negative circumstances. And whether receiving definitive good news is going to teach you that you need to stop tolerating ambiguity in all areas of your life because the stress of not knowing is worse than almost any clear answer would be. You're probably going to receive good news that comes with tangible evidence. You might be experiencing something you can actually see or touch or verify: money depositing in account, physical item arriving, document with your name confirming approval, literal proof that good thing is real. And having concrete evidence rather than just promises is going to make the happiness stick because you're not relying on faith or hope. You could be someone who's been disappointed by things that seemed positive but never materialized. And receiving good news that includes actual material confirmation is going to allow you to fully celebrate without the protective skepticism you usually maintain until things are completely finalized. What's also emerging is good news that validates your judgment about something. You're probably going to discover that decision you made that others questioned was actually correct. That intuition you followed despite not being able to explain it logically was accurate. That risk you took that seemed imprudent is paying off. And that external confirmation that yes, you were right to trust yourself is going to create happiness that goes deeper than just the good outcome. You might be experiencing vindication is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than, not in petty way, but in profound relief of knowing that your internal compass works, that you can trust your perceptions, that self-doubt that's been plaguing you was unjustified because you actually do know what you're doing. What's particularly delightful about what I'm witnessing is the good news is going to surprise you with its timing. You're probably going to receive happiness exactly when you most need it: moment when you were starting to lose hope, day when you were feeling especially low, period when you'd resigned yourself to things not working out. And that perfect timing is going to make you wonder whether something larger is orchestrating your life. You might be experiencing one of those moments that restores your faith in goodness of universe, in possibility that things do work out sometimes, in idea that you're not alone in navigating your challenges, and that spiritual or existential dimension of the good news is going to affect you as much as the practical content of what's actually happening. Um, you're probably going to receive good news about opportunity that expands your possibilities. You might be getting invitation to something you wanted access to, acceptance into program you applied for, offer of position you didn't think you'd get, introduction to person or community that opens doors. And that expansion of your options is going to create happiness that's forward looking. You could be experiencing excitement about future, about what becomes possible now that this opportunity is available. And that shift from feeling stuck or limited to feeling like your life is opening up is going to energize you in ways that affect everything else you're doing. What's threading through the joy patterns is good news that allows you to help someone you care about. You're probably going to receive resources or information or capacity that enables you to support a person who matters to you. And the happiness of being able to give, to make someone else's life easier, to finally be in position to reciprocate or contribute is going to feel incredibly fulfilling. You might be experiencing relief of not being the one who always needs help, of actually having something to offer, and that shift in your position from recipient to provider is going to restore dignity and purpose that scarcity or struggle had been eroding. This reflection invites you to consider whether you've been so focused on what you lack that you haven't noticed what you have to give, and whether good news about your own situation is going to help you see yourself as resource rather than just as person with needs. You're probably going to experience good news that reconnects you with joy you thought you'd lost. You might be receiving opportunity to do something you love but haven't had time or money or energy for, invitation to return to activity that used to bring you happiness, permission to pursue interest you labeled as impractical, and rediscovering that you're still capable of pure enjoyment, that you haven't become so serious or stressed that you can't access pleasure anymore, is going to remind you of who you are underneath all the survival mode functioning. You could be getting yourself back, and that reunion with the part of you that knows how to be happy is the real good news, even more than whatever external circumstance is triggering it. What's also combusting is good news about your health or physical well being. You're probably going to experience body cooperating in ways it hasn't been. Pain reducing, energy returning, sleep improving, symptom resolving, and feeling physically better is going to affect your entire experience of being alive. You might be someone who's been pushing through discomfort for so long you forgot what it feels like to feel good in your body. And having that physical ease return is going to create happiness that's fundamental, because it's not about achieving goals or impressing people. It's just about existing, feeling pleasant rather than effortful. The happiness amplification patterns suggest the good news is going to have ripple effects you don't immediately anticipate. You're probably going to receive one piece of positive information that unlocks other stuck situations, where solving one problem creates breathing room that allows you to address others, where one success gives you confidence that changes how you approach everything else. You might be experiencing catalytic good news that doesn't just make one thing better, but initiates upward spiral where multiple areas of life start improving simultaneously because your energy and hope and capacity have been restored. What's significant is you're going to want to share this good news. You're probably going to experience immediate impulse to tell someone, to celebrate, to let people who've been supporting you know that finally something good happened. And watching other people be genuinely happy for you is going to amplify your own happiness. You might be discovering who your real supporters are, who celebrates your wins without jealousy or qualifications, who can be purely happy for your good fortune without making it about themselves, and that social dimension of joy, experiencing your happiness reflected and magnified through people who love you, is going to make the good news feel even more real and meaningful. This reflection invites you to consider whether you've been isolating in your struggles in ways that prevent you from experiencing shared joy, and whether good news arriving is invitation to let people in more, to be more vulnerable about when things are hard so you can also be more open when things are wonderful. You're probably going to receive good news that makes you cry. You might be experiencing that overwhelming emotional release where happiness is so intense it expresses as tears, where relief and gratitude and disbelief all combine into physical response you can't control. You could be someone who hasn't cried in a while, who's been holding everything together so tightly that emotions can't find exit. And good news, creating safe enough space for you to finally let go and feel everything you've been suppressing is going to be cathartic in ways that go beyond just the specific positive development. What I'm witnessing in the joy crystallization zones is the good news is going to restore your hope about other areas where you've been losing faith. You're probably going to experience one good thing happening and suddenly believing that other good things are possible is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than that. If this worked out, maybe that other thing will too. That universe giving you this particular gift suggests it's not completely indifferent to your well being. You might be experiencing shift from defensive pessimism to cautious optimism. And while you're not going to become naively positive overnight, this good news is going to crack through your protective cynicism enough to let in possibility that yes, things can actually get better. The happiness delivery patterns suggest the good news is going to come through communication. You're probably going to receive phone call, text message, email, letter, some form of information transmission that carries the positive development. And the moment you read or hear the news is going to be etched in your memory. You might remember exactly where you were, what you were doing, how it felt to receive words that changed everything. And that specificity of the moment is going to make this a before and after marker in your personal timeline where you'll reference things as happening before or after the good news arrived. What's also emerging is the good news is going to give you permission to rest. You're probably going to experience yourself finally able to stop pushing so hard, to release the constant effort you've been maintaining, to trust that things are okay enough that you don't have to be vigilant every second. And that permission to ease off, to celebrate, to take a breath is going to create happiness that's about relief from effort as much as about the content of the good news itself. You might be exhausted is less than Hason. 0 hash is greater than, and good news arriving is going to let you acknowledge just how tired you've been because you finally have reason to believe you can afford to rest without everything falling apart. This reflection invites you to consider whether you've been running on fumes for so long that you've normalized exhaustion, and whether good news giving you permission to recover is actually the universe telling you that you need to fundamentally change your relationship with rest rather than just taking temporary break before returning to unsustainable pace. So, as good news approaches, that's going to make you genuinely happy. Practice receiving it fully. You're probably going to be tempted to minimize it, to find the potential problem hiding in the positive development, to protect yourself from disappointment by not letting yourself be too happy. But what if you just let yourself feel good? What if you accepted that something wonderful is happening and you don't need to analyze it or qualify it or prepare for it to be taken away? Trust that you deserve good news. You're probably carrying some belief that you haven't earned happiness yet, that you need to suffer more or work harder or be better before good things can come to you. But that's not how universe works. Good things happen to you because you're alive.